Hello Star Wars fans and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. This is my very first review for the new Galaxy of Adventures 5-inch scale action figure line. It was one that I wasn't very excited about, honestly, when word broke that it was coming out. But as I've seen photos online and seen them in the stores, I actually, kind of like them maybe a little bit. I guess we'll find out. So the packaging on this actually feels really The Force Awakens to me. I don't know, I think it's the coloration, like the black and the red lightsaber with the yellow. It just feels very much like something that would have been around during the Force Awakens era. I do like the animated Luke. Obviously Galaxy of Adventures as a television series is very anime influenced, so it seems like that aesthetic did translate a good bit to the figures, which is a good thing. I didn't want these to be realistic or, too cartoony. It does say Galaxy of Adventures at the bottom there with some stars. I think that's stars. And yeah, looks pretty good. You can see the figure with the lightsaber. It says he's got lightsaber slash. And yeah, on the sides here it tells you that you can also get these guys from the line. On this side, it tells you a little bit more of that slash. So basically lightsaber slash. And yeah, does that say frap right there? Suddenly I want coffee. Galaxy Adventures on top. All right, I'm going to take a minute, get Luke Skywalker unboxed, and when we come back, we'll take a closer look at Luke in his Jedi Knight outfit. So one thing real quick, you guys, is I thought it was kind of cool that the figure comes in this sort of, encasing that those SH Figure Arts figures come with. SH Figure Arts, those figures we used to review all the time, but got too lazy to bother with. All right, you guys, so here is Luke Skywalker out of the packaging, and for the most part, I do dig what I'm seeing. He's nicely proportioned, not too skinny, not too oversized, and his legs and arms, although a little bit on the skinny side, aren't terribly so. Face also looks really cool. Of course, there are some weird things going on with the figure, but, it is a kid-oriented figure, so I can't really grade it the way I would a vintage collection or a Black Series type release. So I'll be sure to keep that in the back of my mind as I'm going through the figure's features. But all in all, it's looking pretty good, so let's go and take a close-up look at the head. Again, there's a very animated, anime-influenced sort of aesthetic to the figure, which is appropriate since that's really what they're going with Galaxy of Adventures. Those shorts are very short, by the way. I can't really get into them because although I love the look of them and the way they reuse the dialogue from the films, I really don't like how they're over in basically like a minute or 2 minutes. It's really not enough time for me to get into it. It's definitely too short. My attention span's a little bit better, I guess, than maybe a 5-year-old. So, I kind of want to see a little bit more there. But nonetheless, this is looking really good, you guys. I mean, just looking at the figure, it's excellently painted. The sculpting is nice. I mean, it looks like Luke Skywalker. It's obviously very exaggerated in those features, so it does have a very doll-like look to it, a very animated sort of look to it. But I dig it. I think the hair color looks nice. It's nicely sculpted. And yeah, it kind of does look like it stepped out of a cartoon. So you will see there's this kind of big gap here between the top of the arms and like the top of the shoulders. That's because this is a removable piece right here, and I'll show you in just a little bit how that works, but let's talk about that. So it does look a little bit bulky here in the midsection, and that is because this is a removable piece, but you can see it is a little bit more matte looking than the rest of the costume. The rest of the costume isn't overly glossy, but it looks pretty nice. Like actually the boots are a little bit glossier than the rest of the costume. Same with the glove, that looks a little shinier. But yeah, sculpting is good. It's very simple. It reminds me a little bit of if you were collecting Star Wars, during that time when they were doing the Clone Wars micro series and they were doing those very animated statuesque figures, like in 2005, I think it was, that this came out. So I'm really getting that kind of a vibe, and it makes sense because these are animated. So he does have peg holes here at the heels. The size is actually, it feels really good to me. Like I know that I always say, I don't like weird scales. To me, figures should always be 3 3/4, 6-inch or 12-inch. Anything outside of that, to me, is just strange, and it's really hard to fit into any of those other scales if you're trying to display stuff. But this, I feel like it makes sense. I don't know why. It just feels like a good size. It's not quite 6-inch. It's not quite 3 3/4. It's, it's somewhere in between. And I don't know, like in my hand, it just feels like a good size. So that is interesting. I'm kind of surprised that I feel that way. So the way that this comes off is there is a little latch here at the back, and you just basically unlatch it. So you will want to pull the head out. And once you do that, it becomes a lot easier to manipulate. Still a little tricky to get off, but you just kind of got to angle it correctly. And underneath, he's got his the little flap that hangs open when he's got the Jedi Knight outfit. So you can see the little barbel right there. Just plug it back in to the neck, I think. And yeah, I mean, this to me looks better. Like without that bulky vest, this looks a lot better to me. It just seems a little bit more proportionate. There's still a little bit of a gap right here, but once you start like posing his arms, it kind of goes away. It does seem like, there is kind of a lot of space right in here, like especially from like his chin to the top of his arms. That just seems like kind of a big gap. But you know what? I am still trying to think of it as a kid's toy. I can let that go. So in terms of articulation, we do have a ball joint here at the head. You saw the barbell, dumbbell, and it's really good movement, you guys. Like you can move it down, you can move it up, side to side. I think I tilted it too much. But yeah, you can tilt it. Just don't overdo it or the head will come out. So these are interesting. So these arms move in sync with each other, and that is because he has that slicing action feature, which we'll look at that with the lightsaber, but just to kind of show you what, the arms, how they move in sync with each other, which not if you're going out, but if you're going forward, you will see that. So there are proper ball joints here at the shoulders. So that didn't sound good. Yeah, they're like ratcheted, but it is built into that action feature. So just be careful. I do want to say that these joints are really stiff. And I know that my friend Brad Jost from the Jurassic Park podcast, he broke on his Chewbacca figure one of the arms. And I wonder if it was because these joints are just really tight. So I would say if you want to be safe, heat these joints up. If you feel like it's going to be stiff, just take like a hairdryer or some hot water and, kind of try and loosen it up a little bit because you don't want to break that. But nonetheless, the joints, even though they are tight, they do move pretty nicely. Like you can see, it's about 90 degrees. And of course you can rotate that as well. Both of the wrists, you can rotate those. Actually, let's see. Yeah, they rotate. They it almost seems like they have a little bit of give to them so you can move them forward and back. But yeah, I wonder if they come off so we can see what's going on there. Yeah, they do. It's basically just a long peg. So they do come out. We'll stick that back in there. But yeah, so I guess it's just mostly it's meant to be a rotation. Here at the waist, you can rotate. It doesn't do anything else beyond that. Here at the hips, you can do a full split. That is pretty awesome. And you can kick them forward mostly all the way. And right here, you can also, thank goodness these are ball joints because I would be furious if I broke this. And then you can bend them here at the knees and you can rotate it as well. And that's pretty decent bend there. It doesn't move all the way up, but moves enough. And then the same thing here at the ankle. So you up and down. And yeah, these are actually on rocker pivots. So overall, really nicely articulated. And I didn't really talk about the belt that you can see there, but that actually does look pretty nice. There's nowhere to peg in his accessory. Which, speaking of, is this green lightsaber, and it actually looks really good. The hilt, of course, is animated style, so it's a little bit different. Proportions are a little bit beefier than what it actually looks like in the films, but it's painted nicely. I'm actually surprised they give it, that kind of detailed paint application. And then the blade is a nice medium green color, and yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And he actually looks really good holding the lightsaber. I really do like the look of him holding onto that. So let me show you how this action feature works. So basically, you're just going to lift it up and let it go. That's the extent of it. That's the lightsaber slash right there. And you could do it one-handed if you wanted to do that instead. So we'll go ahead and let go and straighten the arm out. And we'll try it like that. I mean, it does look a little bit strange having to lift this other arm, but I think it works better the other way. It looks cooler when you have it with both hands, but yeah, that's, pretty nice. It doesn't really affect the articulation too much other than, as you guys saw, it kind of like, makes these ugly sounds when you're rotating the arms, but yeah, seems to be fairly well integrated. It's better than any unsightly like buttons sticking out or, weird things where you bend the legs. So I'm digging it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars Galaxy of Adventures Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight Walmart exclusive action figure. So I did get mine online from walmart.com. They cost $9.99. I had it shipped to my store and I just picked it up. I'm very happy with it. Going into Galaxy of Adventures, I wasn't really thrilled about the 5-inch scale, but it actually feels very comfortable in my hand. And I think for a separate kid-oriented line that is relying heavily on the animated influence for its look, I can get behind it. I actually do like the actual execution of the figure. It looks good. It's nicely detailed, very good face paint. The accessory is nice, and the articulation is pretty great. For $9.99, you really can't beat what you're getting with this figure, especially when you consider that you also get the removable vest accessory with him. So it's somewhat like two figures in one. I look forward to seeing where Galaxy of Adventures goes in the future. I'll definitely be picking up more of these figures, but I want to know your thoughts. So let me know in the comments whether or not you will be adding these to your collection and what your thoughts are on the whole line. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that button. You've seen our videos on your feed time and time again. Go ahead and subscribe. And be sure to hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, all that good stuff. There's links down below. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.